Look at these strange-looking creatures called marine iguanas, and these giant tortoises. They look like they could have lived a long time ago. The fossilized remains of this creature, called an ichthyosaur, which lived in ancient seas, provides direct evidence that life was very different long ago. And these fossilized tracks are proof that dinosaurs once walked the earth. What do these things tell us about ancient life? What was life like thousands or even millions of years ago? What forces have been responsible for the wide array of plants and animals found on Earth? During the next few minutes, we're going to explore these questions and others as we take a look at some of the history of life. Look out the window of your classroom or your home. Take a walk down the street. What plants and animals do you see? Chances are the plants and animals of long ago don't look like they do today. Even the land itself may have looked quite different. Perhaps at some point the land was covered by water. Maybe strange-looking animals such as woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, or even dinosaurs roamed your neighborhood. How and why did the different types of plants and animals change? And how has Earth itself changed? Let's first consider Earth's changing surface. Most geologists agree that Earth is about 4.6 billion years old. At its conception, it's thought that Earth was a hot, molten mass, which took hundreds of millions of years to cool. At some point, its outer skin became rigid, eventually leading to the formation of tectonic plates. According to the theory of plate tectonics, there are numerous plates which move on Earth's surface. They vary in thickness, with an average depth of about 100 kilometers. The interaction of plates over time has been responsible for many of Earth's features. You decide. What are some geologic features created by interacting plates? The interaction of tectonic plates is often responsible for the formation of volcanoes, mountains, and faults. These types of features may form when plates collide, slide under each other, or move away from each other. Throughout much of Earth's history, the plates have been moving. It's believed that the arrangement of Earth's continents looked something like this 250 million years ago. Over time, the continents are believed to have drifted to their present-day positions. The position of a given plate on the Earth's surface has a major impact on the plants and animals which live in an area. To help scientists organize different events in Earth's 4.6 billion-year-old history, the past has been divided into segments. This system of segmenting time is referred to as geologic time. Geologic time is organized in spans of millions of years. The largest units of time on the geologic time scale are called eras, and there are 4 major eras. Eras are broken up into smaller units called periods, and periods are broken down into yet smaller units called epochs. These segments are divided based on significant changes in life on Earth. For example, the Mesozoic Era is referred to as the Age of Reptiles, and the Cenozoic Era is referred to as the Age of Mammals. The Precambrian Era started at the beginning of Earth's history. You decide. How many years ago did the Precambrian Era begin? The Precambrian Era started approximately 4.6 billion years ago. It ended about 542 million years ago. Scientists believe Earth was without life for the first 1 billion years. The first life is believed to have developed in the Precambrian Era about 3.5 to 3.6 billion years ago. Single-celled bacteria-like organisms developed in ancient seas. Fossils show that these very simple life forms existed in layered units called stromatolites. Stromatolites still thrive today in shallow, warm-water seas. These early cells, called prokaryotes, resembling present-day bacteria, did not possess many of the complex structures seen later in more advanced cells. At first, these cells obtained their energy from chemical compounds in their environment. But a billion years after they first appeared, about 2.5 billion years ago, cells developed the ability to use energy from the sun in a process similar to photosynthesis, which we see in modern-day plants. This was very important because a byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. Gradually, these microscopic photosynthetic organisms changed Earth's atmosphere from being oxygen-poor to oxygen-rich. About 1.5 billion years ago, one of the most important biological jumps in the history of life occurred, the formation of eukaryotic cells. You compare. How does the eukaryotic cell look different from the prokaryotic cell? Eukaryotic cells possess many important specialized components called organelles. One such organelle, the nucleus seen here, acts as the control center for the eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotes do not possess a nucleus. Eukaryotes are very important because they gave rise to the first multicellular organisms. Scientists hypothesize that as cells came together in groups, called colonies, over time, different cells became specialized, leading to the formation of tissues, which in turn work together to create complex multicellular organisms. Toward the end of the Precambrian Era, 600 to 700 million years ago, multicellular life forms emerged, including simple jellyfish, segmented worms, and simple corals, all living in the oceans. The Paleozoic Era dates from about 542 million years ago to about 251 million years ago. At the close of the Paleozoic Era, all of the major divisions of organisms that exist today had evolved. The Paleozoic Era was a time of intense diversification of multicellular life, the greatest that has occurred in the history of life. Early in the Paleozoic Era expansion, warm, shallow seas covered large parts of the continents. Deposits from these seas left evidence of life in the form of fossils, which give us clues about life then. Invertebrate life flourished in these seas. Invertebrates are animals which do not have backbones. Strange-looking creatures called trilobites, now extinct, thrived back then. Shelled organisms, such as brachiopods, were abundant. Other invertebrate life, such as corals, sponges, and starfish, existed as well. The first animals with backbones, fish, proliferated in the Paleozoic seas. Many different types of fish could be found throughout the oceans. A little over 400 million years ago, plants first colonized land. Descendants of aquatic algae, land plants overcame many obstacles to exist outside of water. Late in the Paleozoic era, ferns and other plants formed great swamps. You observe. What did the decayed plants form? The remains of plants in these swamps formed large coal deposits, which has served as an important source of fossil fuel. Following the invasion of land by plants, the first vertebrate animals, early amphibians, walked on land about 360 million years ago. The diversification of life in the Paleozoic era was not gradual. Instead, it occurred in several bursts, each punctuated by a mass extinction. Extinction is the destruction of a group of living things, and there were 4 major mass extinctions in the Paleozoic. The Mesozoic era began about 251 million years ago and ended about 65.5 million years ago. The Mesozoic era is referred to as the Age of Reptiles. The major group of vertebrates that were dominant throughout the Mesozoic were reptiles we refer to as dinosaurs. These great animals dominated Earth for more than 150 million years. We know a great deal about the wide range of different kinds of dinosaurs from fossilized bones and tracks they left behind. From dinosaurs which dwelled on land, to those which swam in the oceans, to the ones which flew in the air, these great creatures were some of the largest and most remarkable organisms to have inhabited our planet. About 65 million years ago, another mass extinction eliminated the dinosaurs. During the Mesozoic, dinosaurs gave rise to an important group, birds. One of the earliest known fossils of a bird, called Protoavis, found in Texas, is about 225 million years old and was about the size of a chicken. A better-known fossil bird, Archaeopteryx, is estimated to be about 150 million years old. Today, there are about 9,000 different kinds of birds. About 100 million years ago in the Mesozoic, flowering plants became widespread. Today, there are over 240,000 different kinds of flowering plants. Small mammals first appeared at the beginning of the Mesozoic, but did not dominate Earth until after the dinosaurs became extinct. The Cenozoic Era began about 65.5 million years ago and continues today. Throughout the Cenozoic, mammals and birds diversified. Primitive horses, tiny camels, and giant birds flourished. As the Cenozoic progressed, the overall climate of Earth cooled. In fact, several major glaciations covered large portions of the continents. Different kinds of plants and animals, such as the woolly mammoth, were well adjusted to cold climates. Monkey-like primates first appeared as fossils about 36 million years ago. And first hominids, which are human-like beings, are believed to have formed 4 to 5 million years ago. Present-day humans belong to the species Homo sapiens, which first appeared about 500,000 years ago. The presence of the human species, even though it's existed 500,000 years, represents but a tiny fraction of the time life has existed on Earth. During the past few minutes, we've taken a brief look at the fascinating history of life on Earth. We began by explaining how most scientists believe the Earth is 4.6 billion years old. We briefly discussed the role moving tectonic plates have played in shaping Earth's surface and influencing climate on the continents. We investigated some of the significant highlights of each of the four major geologic eras. The Precambrian Era, which makes up over 85% of Earth's history, brought the first prokaryotic and later eukaryotic life. We saw how multicellular life in the Paleozoic Era exploded, leading to a wide variety of invertebrate animals. And we saw how the first vertebrate life, fish, proliferated in the Paleozoic Era. Toward the end of the era, early amphibians first set foot on land. The major group of vertebrates that were dominant throughout the Mesozoic were reptiles we refer to as dinosaurs. Early birds and flowering plants also appeared in this era. The Cenozoic Era was a time of widespread climate change, which had a great influence on changes in plant and animal life. Mammals and birds became the dominant vertebrate life forms. Toward the latter part of the Cenozoic Era, human life appeared. Fill in the correct word to complete the sentence. Good luck, and let's get started. Number 1. Geologists generally agree Earth is billion years old. Number 2. The interaction of tectonic is responsible for many of Earth's features. Number 3. The system of segmenting time is referred to as time. Number 4. Life first appeared in the era. Number 5. The development of cells represents one of the most important steps in biology. Number 6. In the era, multicellular life proliferated. Number 7. Were the first vertebrates. Number 8. Is the destruction of a group of living things. Number 9. The Mesozoic Era is called the Age of and number 10. Birds and dominated in the Cenozoic Era.